Hello again, precious friends. Thank you for joining me once again after this long hiatus. Oh my goodness, so much has been going on. This long hiatus between last time and this time. Thanks for coming back to join me again in Chef Patty's Kitchen on the Carnivore Hippie channel. Well, what's been going on? Well, I've taken a self-publishing course and my first cookbook is now available. There will be another video downloaded shortly that will give you information about that. And I just got back from the Meat Stock 2025 convention and retreat just a few weeks ago. So it's just been a busy time for me, and I apologize for neglecting you all. Hopefully that is all over and done with, at least for several months. My goal is to get you out a bunch more videos over the summer, and maybe take you along when my hubby and I go on vacation later next month to the baseball game. Anyway, today I have a really special recipe to share with you because I've been working on this for about a year now, and it is my version of a carnivore pudding. Okay, yeah, I know. How are we going to do that? You've probably seen the carnivore pudding where people just, take a bunch of boiled eggs and jam them up in the blender and put a little flavoring in them. And yeah, I suppose that's okay, but this one I love. And if you're a butter lover, you're going to love this because it's basically pretty much just butter with some flavoring in it. So I know you're going to like this. We're going to do two flavors today. The first one is going to be, yeah, I know this is kind of weird, but smoked honey. I know, right? And the second one is going to be, of course, chocolate. Everybody has to have a little chocolate pudding in their life every now and then, as far as I'm concerned. And if you're a carnivore, this is as close to carnivore chocolate as you are going to get. I promise. So let's get right to it. I apologize for the awkwardness of this shot, but we got to work with what we got. So let's talk about hardware first, which we always do. You're going to need a stick blender. You can do this in a jar blender. You can do this in like your Magic Bullet or your like little Ninja Creamy, not creamy, but your little Ninja smoothie maker. Not that I expect any of you are making smoothies, but a stick blender or a jar blender will work just fine for this. So that's first what we got. And we've got some small serving dishes. These are very small. These are 1/4 cup or so size ramekins. And really, I know that seems like a pretty small serving for dessert, but believe me, you really don't need any more than that. I would be shocked if anybody could really eat any more than that of this dessert. It's really delicious, but it's very rich. Okay, so and we'll need some plastic wrap to cover them, and we will need our blender container as well. Okay, that's basically our hardware. Oh, except for the ever-present silicone scraper, which I am never without, precious friends. It's my favorite kitchen tool, the silicone scraper of various shapes and sizes. All right, so first thing we're going to do is this, believe it or not, this recipe is based on mayonnaise. Yeah, I know, trust me. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put an egg in our blender jar. A whole egg. You can do this with just an egg yolk, but I have found that it's a much better texture if you include the white. Alrighty, now what we have here is 2 tablespoons of granulated allulose. If you don't have allulose, you can use erythritol. You can use erythritol monk fruit combination. This is going to be the honey flavored. So if you wanted to, and you can tolerate the sugar load, you could use honey, 2 tablespoons of honey as well. But I do better without the overt sugar load of the honey. The allulose I find I tolerate a lot better. That's 2 tablespoons of sweetener. Or you can substitute an equivalent amount of any other kind of sweetener that you tolerate really well. I've made this with just Splenda as well, with very good effect. And this is going to be about half a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to eyeball it, just a drizzle. And this is honey flavoring. Like I said, you could just use honey if you could tolerate the sugar hit, but I don't do that well, so I'm going to just use about 1/4 teaspoon of honey flavoring, and you can get this online. I'll put a link. This is Loran oils, and I will put a link in the description about where you can get that, and Wright's liquid smoke. Now, this, friends, is the only kind of liquid smoke that I use, and that is because it is a very clean food. A lot of people think liquid smoke and they think a whole bunch of chemicals, and no, there are liquid smoke products out there that are a bunch of chemicals and a bunch of unnecessary stuff, like, you know, soy protein isolate, and, you know, soy sauce and molasses and all kinds of junk. No, you don't need that. This is smoke, real hardwood smoke that has been gathered in a condenser and has been condensed and dissolved in nothing but water. This is smoke and water, my friends. And I think it might have, nope, water and natural hickory smoke. That's it. There aren't even any preservatives in it, because the smoke in and of itself is a natural preservative. Okay, so if you want smoke flavor, you can feel free to use this, because this is really exactly chemically the same as actual smoke, just dissolved in water. And I am going to, I don't dare just tip it in there because I might get too much. You only need a drop or 2. So I am going to use the end of a chopstick just to collect 2 or 3 drops. There, I think that was 4 drops. Believe me. Oh my goodness, that's going to be enough. I just love the smell of this stuff. It's great stuff. So there we are. Now what we're going to do, we're going to whiz this. And of course, I'm whizzing it up a little bit more than is necessary just to mix it, because I want it to aerate some. I want the mixture to become a little bit fluffy, because that improves the texture of the dessert as we go on. Allulose will cause the egg yolk to be a little bit more viscous, and so it will hold a little bit more air because we've put the allulose in it than just a regular plain egg would do. So I'm blending this on the high speed, and I'm moving the blade up and down a little bit to actually work some more air into the egg mixture. Okay, it's increased in volume just a little bit. Now we have, here's the magic. We have here, this is 4 ounces of melted butter that's been melted in the microwave and allowed to cool basically to room temperature. It's probably about between 75 and 80 degrees here. You don't want it any warmer than that. And also, I should have mentioned that this egg was at room temperature. Okay, so you could either heat it up by sticking it in some hot water for about 5 minutes, or you could just leave it out for several hours until it's room temperature. And now what we're going to do is we're basically going to make mayonnaise. You ready? And everybody knows you beat it up and you drizzle the butter, melted butter in. If you've ever made butter mayonnaise, it's exactly the same thing. So here we go. You could hear how the sound changed as the mixture started to thicken. Now this is going to be very, very, very fluid, but that's okay because we're going to put it in the refrigerator. And the butter, why don't you want to come off there, dude? Oh, there we go. The butter is going to firm up in the refrigerator. And it's going to give us a lovely texture. So now that's it, friends. That's it. Here we have it. This is your dessert. We're going to get our little serving dishes. And we're just going to pour that in there. Believe it or not, that's all there is to it. I'm just going to pour it right up to the top, because why not? You don't have to fill yours this full. I just like, you know me, I'm into rich at excess. Oh, I just licked up the little drips. Yummy. So we are going to put this, we are going to take this, and we have a little piece of plastic wrap that we are going to put over the top, just to protect it from anything sticking to the top of it, or it getting any nasty flavors, collecting any nasty flavors in the refrigerator. We're going to put this in the fridge, and then we're going to go on to chocolate. All right, so we're back, precious friends, and we're gonna do chocolate. I apologize again for the awkwardness of this shot, but you know what, it is what it is. Anyway, so we're gonna start again with our egg. Egg at room temperature, the whole egg. And now we're going to be putting some cocoa powder in here, and that is going to thicken this considerably more than the other one would thicken. So we're going to add a little bit of fluid to make it easier to handle and to improve the texture at the end once it's chilled. And you could use just water for this, but since I love the way it supports the flavor of the chocolate, I'm going to use a tablespoon of strong coffee. As I said, you can just use water if you want to. And of course, just because I happen to love vanilla makes everything better, just like butter does. So about a half a teaspoon of vanilla, 4 to taste. And here we have our cocoa powder and sugar mixture. But what we're going to do first is we're going to whip this up a little bit. Now this is 2 tablespoons of allulose, granulated allulose, stirred together with a tablespoon, of cocoa powder. And I've stirred them together because the granulated allulose knocks the lumps out of the cocoa powder, and you don't have to sift the cocoa powder. And it goes. Notice that particulates, the kind of the cloud coming up. Please don't inhale that. You won't like it. And again, I'm going to beat this a little bit to try and drive some air into the mixture. So it's not going to get fluffy like a whipped cream or a meringue would do, but it will aerate a little bit. And here we have, of course, our 4 ounces or 1 stick of, in this case, unsalted butter. And I am going to put a little pinch of salt because I just like the salt with the chocolate. I didn't put any salt in the other one, but you certainly could. And here we go. Let's watch the magic happen. It really smells good, folks. And that's it. Now this is a little bit thicker because of the thickening qualities and the emulsifying qualities of the cocoa powder. This is going to be a little bit thicker than the last one, but it's still going to remain fluid enough that it's going to be easier to pour. And here we have our little serving dishes, and we're just going to fill them up. You can tell already it's quite a bit thicker than the last batch, the other flavor. Fill it right up, because why not? I think I might have overfilled this one just a hair. I'm going to take just a tiny bit out so that it doesn't overflow when I put the plastic wrap on. It's good to see the chef make a few mistakes. That lets you know that you don't have to be mistake-free to be a good cook. Oh, I just licked this. Yummy. Now, I'm going to get my plate. Put this on our serving plate. So this is 2 servings a piece, each recipe. So a half a cup of butter or 1 stick of butter and 1 egg makes 2 servings. And you can double this recipe, just straight up double the amounts. Works really, really well. I haven't tried it quadrupled yet. Sometimes if you scale up a recipe too much, you have to mess with the proportions a little bit, but just doubling this to 4 servings with a whole 2 cups of butter and 2 sticks of butter, rather a cup of butter and 2 eggs works great. So all we have to do now is wait for the refrigerator to do its magic, and then we'll get it out and we're gonna taste it. Smoked honey and chocolate carnivore pudding. We'll see you in a couple of hours. Well, welcome back, precious friends. It's been a couple of hours and you can see I've decorated up my pretty little desserts. Chocolate is here, smoked honey is there. Dressed them up with a little bit of whipped cream because, through a decorative tip, of course, because everybody knows I'm a garnish monkey and I want all my food to look pretty as me when I eat it. So anyway, I'm going to reset this shot and then we're going to taste it. Oh boy. So here we are, friends, and we are about to taste these beautiful little desserts. Aren't they lovely? Wouldn't you be proud to serve those? Oops, this one is floating away. Anyway, so first off, I'm going to try, well, I've already tried it, but this is the smoked honey flavor. It is so unique. I hope you can figure out a way. I hope you can get the stuff to make this. Like I said, I'm going to put a link in the description where you can get the smoke flavoring and the honey flavoring, because this is just so unique a flavor. It's just unlike anything. You could put this in an ice cream churn and it would be fabulous, frankly. I don't know how to describe it. The honey's definitely there, and the smoke, it gives it a very, very mild sort of bitterness on the finish with the intense sweetness is very, very, very pleasant. If you don't like unusual tastes, this might not be for you, and it's not too sweet though, which is great. A lot of carnivores that I know don't like things that are too sweet. Oh my goodness. I want to say I could eat 5 of these, but I know there's so much butter in it that if I eat more than one, I can't handle the fat because I don't have a gallbladder, which means I get nauseated if I eat too much fat at once. But this is difficult to stop. Let me tell you, I encourage you, try the smoked honey flavor. It is wild and amazing. But here we have regular good old chocolate. Who doesn't love chocolate? And this is chocolate with a tiny bit of coffee. I'm going to get a clean spoon. And you can leave the coffee out, just replace it with water. The chocolate is much denser than the honey, and that's because the cocoa powder that we put in it to make it chocolate flavored absorbs some of the moisture in the mixture. It absorbs some of the water out of the egg white, and it's also an emulsifier in its own right, meaning that it can bind both to the water phase of the dessert and the fat phase of the dessert, and that keeps it really, really smooth and creamy and very, very dense and luxurious in texture. So here we go. The coffee and the pinch of salt definitely takes this into the realm of grown-up chocolate. If you want to leave the coffee out and leave the pinch of salt out, you can definitely make this for a child's palate. It'll be very sweet and mildly chocolate, which children would probably like better, or if you just don't like strong tastes, you might like this better. But I love the assertiveness of the coffee and the salt in this. Brings it a level of sophistication that just chocolate pudding just doesn't cover. So I don't know if you can see this, but it's, whoops, it's very thick and dense. See, it's not gonna flop off the spoon. I hesitated almost to call it pudding because the texture is just so much more rich and dense than just regular pudding. I have to stop because I don't want to feel unwell later, which I will if I eat too much. Because I just don't tolerate too much fat that well. But this is the perfect dessert if you like to eat a lot of butter, if you're adding fat to your diet for various and sundry reasons. You're going to want to do one of these. Whoops. Excuse me, I spilled. Try this, friends. Best carnivore dessert you will ever have. Well, maybe not best, but maybe not best of all time, but this is going to be, well, this is going to be top of your list. This is going to be in your top 5, I guarantee it. Okay, thanks a lot, friends. I'm so glad to be back with you. Keep looking for more videos. My hope and prayer is that we will get out another video to you within a week. And since I'm not completely subsumed by putting together a cookbook and getting ready for a retreat, I will have more time to pay attention to all you wonderful, lovely, precious friends. And so until then, I bid you peace, love, and meat, and bye-bye.